The moment his boot struck the bucket, shattering it and sending water cascading like a sudden storm across the marble floor, the laughter that erupted in the grand hall was harsh and mocking. Alexander Pembroke, the rich man's arrogant son, stood tall, his eyes gleaming with cruel amusement, surrounded by his friends who mirrored his disdain. The maid, Elizabeth, froze in place, shock and humiliation flooding her senses as the cold water soaked her feet and the hem of her dress. But beneath this moment of cruelty lay stories of pain, strength, and a secret that would shake the very foundations of the Pembroke legacy. Elizabeth had never sought sympathy, nor had she ever expected kindness in this house. Life had been unforgiving. She was once the daughter of a respected family, but fate had dealt her a cruel hand. Her father's sudden death had left her family broken, their fortune lost to debts and betrayal. Forced into servitude to survive, Elizabeth had swallowed her pride and worked tirelessly in the shadows of the Pembroke estate. She moved quietly, cleaned diligently, and endured countless moments of disrespect and condescension. Yet, inside her burned a fierce spirit, a quiet flame of hope that refused to be extinguished. Alexander was everything Elizabeth was not: wealthy, entitled, and blinded by privilege. From birth, he had been groomed to rule, to never question the hierarchies that elevated his family above all others. His arrogance was a shield, protecting him from the insecurities that lurked beneath his polished exterior. To him, servants like Elizabeth were invisible obstacles, existing only to cater to his whims. Kicking the bucket was more than a childish tantrum. It was an expression of his frustration, of the world bending to his will, or so he believed. But when Elizabeth's eyes met his, quiet, hurt, yet unbroken, something shifted inside Alexander. For the first time, he saw not a servant, but a person. He saw a woman who carried her pain with grace, who did not crumble under his contempt. Yet his pride would not allow him to admit it, so he turned away, masking the stirrings of guilt and curiosity with a cold facade. In the days that followed, Alexander found himself haunted by that single moment. The laughter that had once emboldened him now felt hollow, the sneers echoing in the empty corners of his mind. He began to watch Elizabeth, not with the disdain of a spoiled heir, but with a growing sense of wonder and respect. What was it about her that made her so unyielding? What truths lay behind those calm eyes? Meanwhile, Elizabeth grappled with her own secrets. One evening, while dusting the library's forgotten shelves, she discovered a hidden box containing letters and documents. As she read through the faded ink, a shocking truth emerged. Her family's downfall was no accident, but the result of a deliberate betrayal by the Pembroke ancestors. Worse, the estate she cleaned every day belonged, by right, at least in part, to her. She was the heir to a legacy stolen by greed and deceit. Armed with this knowledge, Elizabeth faced a new challenge. The revelation was dangerous. If exposed, it could ruin the Pembrokes' reputation and upend the balance of power. She struggled between fear and the desire for justice, torn over confronting the family that had dismissed her as worthless. Alexander's world shattered the moment Elizabeth shared her discovery. The boy who had once kicked her bucket was forced to confront the sins of his lineage. He saw himself not as a master, but as a part of a system that had destroyed innocent lives. The arrogant mask he wore began to crack, revealing a man wrestling with guilt, shame, and a desperate need to make things right. Together they formed an unlikely alliance. Alexander stood by Elizabeth, confronting his father and the family's entrenched prejudices. Their battle was fierce, facing not just Richard Pembroke's wrath, but the scorn of society that clung to old class divisions. Rumors spread, alliances shifted, and old wounds reopened. Yet through every trial, their bond deepened. Alexander learned humility and empathy, shedding the arrogance that had once defined him. Elizabeth, empowered by truth and supported by Alexander, reclaimed her dignity and strength. Their fight was not just for justice, but for the chance to redefine their identities beyond the roles society had cast them in. The broken bucket remained a potent symbol, not of humiliation, but of transformation. It marked the moment when arrogance met resistance, when power was questioned, and when change became inevitable. From that day forward, the Pembroke estate was no longer just a monument to wealth, but a testament to courage, redemption, and the power of compassion. Their story echoed far beyond the marble halls and gilded pillars. It reminded all who heard it that true nobility comes not from birthright or riches, but from the strength to face one's flaws, the courage to fight injustice, and the grace to forgive. Elizabeth and Alexander's journey proved that even the deepest divides can be bridged when hearts open and minds change. In the end, the richest legacy they built was not the vast estate or fortune, but a future where respect and kindness replaced arrogance and scorn. And sometimes, it all begins with a single shattered bucket, a moment small enough to overlook, yet powerful enough to change lives forever.